Good morning, everybody. It's January 7th, and the Tay-K situationing is pretty saddening. Tay-K's name is floating around at the top of 2023 and is due to his most recent message on Twitter, which reads, "I really just need one chance at adulthood." Then another tweet reading, "I bet if I was a little white kid, they wouldn't have gave me no 55 years for a crime that I was alleged to play the most insignificant role in when I was 16. They would have rightfully argued that my mind wasn't fully developed and gave me rehabilitation and a second, in parentheses first, chance at adulthood." Then one last following tweet reading out, "One of my co-defendants was a white girl who was 16 just like me. They didn't certify her as an adult, but they certified me and Pimp as adults. Pimp got 30, I got 55. She ended up getting 10 years of probation without no deal. That girl is at home right now." Tay-K is unfortunately one of many artists who lands theirself in prison due to situations they handled outside of their professional career. On July 23rd, 2019, he was sentenced to 55 years in prison for a murder charge, 30 years in prison for one of the counts of aggravated robbery, and two 13-year prison sentences for the remaining two counts of aggravated robbery. Now, personally, I'm not the type to just say free someone because I'm a fan of the person. We're all given opportunities, and while I do not know the exact situation of Tay-K's incident, it's pretty clear that the jury did not see his side. Whatever side of the justice system you're on, it's safe to say that they aren't always equitable. And a side note, as you may already know, convictions like the YSL group, where their entire group is pretty much getting convicted recently, and the way that that case is unfolding is extremely suspenseful, to say the least. Rappers going to jail has long been a part of the hip-hop identity. What a lot of artists don't understand is that rappers going to jail can also impact the genre by shaping public perception. Hip-hop has long been associated with criminal activity, and when high-profile rappers are incarcerated, it can reinforce negative stereotypes and contribute to the stigmatization of the genre. This can make it more difficult for other artists to gain mainstream acceptance, and it can limit the reach and influence of hip-hop. Overall, while rappers going to jail is a long-standing part of the hip-hop landscape, it can also have a negative impact on the genre by disrupting the flow of newer music and impacting careers of individual artists, and also, of course, shaping public perception. What is happening in the public nowadays needs to be a message to up-and-coming artists to stay focused on your career, honestly. While many artists are living in low-income neighborhoods and are forced to adapt to a certain lifestyle, I do believe the quicker you are able to get yourself out of these situations, the better. And I know that's easier said than done, but I cannot tell you how many artists I've actually met and ones who aren't even in those situations, and they love to make music speaking as if they were glorifying actions like murder, drugs, and just illegal activity. Tay-K made a song which is his biggest song to date, titled "The Race," explaining how he was on the run and evading police and what seems to be trolling law enforcement.
Fuck a beat, I was tryna beat a case, but I ain't beat that case, bitch, I did the race.
In this scenario, obviously, he was going to get caught up at some point, regardless, no matter where he went in the US, but this goes on to say, keep your personal stuff personal. Lyrics are getting used in court, and it's helping the justice system lock up multiple artists and keep them locked up. Artists speaking of actual crimes that they assume that they would never be found guilty of. Tay-K was at the very beginning of his career, and it's pretty much over due to these charges. He's looking at what people from his case got charged and is realizing that the justice system isn't always fair. Another thing that I'm also realizing is that the justice system loves making an example out of young black men, especially young black men in charge. A-list artists and upcoming viral artists have so much potential on changing the world. So the legal system sees these individuals with so much influence, and they make sure everyone watching them learns a lesson from their rulings. This goes on to say that if you are an up-and-coming artist and you are making music, I'm not stating that you shouldn't speak about your past, but be a little bit smarter when it comes to talking about exact scenarios and things like that. Because if you eventually do get caught up in these scenarios with the legal system, nowadays they will legally use every single lyric against you, and it's not only to just lock you in prison, it's also to keep you in prison. Some of these artists could possibly get out on probation and still, go at their career in whichever situation that they want to. But when the court sees that you are pretty much unapologetic about your actions, and to the point where you're making songs and people around the world are singing to these songs, influencing these people that the justice system is a joke, sometimes they take that personally, and feelings also go into the rulings, which is unfair. But at some point, we don't really have control over each and every judge, and it's not an equal system. It's a cruel world, and it's not always in our favor. But what do you think? Do you feel for TK's messages on Twitter? Let me know your opinion in the comments. I'm truly interested, and thank you for watching.